Our speaker this morning is Annabella Schafer. Annabella is a 3-year boarding student from Ardmore, PA. She's a member of the varsity field hockey and varsity girls lacrosse teams and the captain of the varsity girls basketball team. She's also the proud roommate of Kim Munzingo. Annabella?
My life growing up probably looked normal to most people. I had a great family and friends, and I was a happy little girl. But many people didn't know about the medical and emotional struggle my family and I were facing. I was born with a rare disease. My parents found out 3 days after I was born, and due to the rareness of the disease, they didn't know much about it. They consulted with doctors from all over the world and weren't sure if I was going to live past my first birthday, let alone be able to live a life free of hospital visits and medical emergencies. A rare disease, also referred to as orphan disorder, is defined as a condition that affects fewer than 200,000 people nationwide. Most diseases like this are inherited and caused by alterations or defects in the genes. My genetic disorder is called VLCAD, and it is estimated that 1 in 70,000 people suffer from it. It is a disorder where the body doesn't produce enough enzymes the body needs to break down and use fatty acids for energy. My life has been made up of unknowns. Since my disease is rare, the doctors didn't know much about it. As I was learning about my own body, they were too. I've lived my whole life focusing on what is happening in the moment and what may come in the future. I was scared to live my life, even though I had to. You may think, wow, isn't that bad? All I have to do is stay away from the nice French fries and cheesesteaks that were all over the place. What people didn't realize is that even fruits and vegetables have some amounts of fat in them. I had to calculate how much fat I had while ensuring my body gets nutrients it requires to function. It was hard. The doctors had to figure out a way for me to get my nutrients and continue to gain weight and grow like a normal little girl. Growing up, I went through what no little girl wants to go through. I was in and out of the hospital, constantly seeing doctors, and feeling like I was not the little girl that everyone wanted to be. I didn't want anyone to know what I was going through. I was embarrassed if my parents or brothers told anyone. They consulted with doctors, and the constant arguments with my parents didn't do too well. What I was not able to eat really took a toll on me. Those big cupcakes at birthday parties, filled with chocolate icing, sure did look good, but I simply couldn't have them. The one thing that helped me get away or escape my anger was sports. Any sport you can think of, I played when I was younger. There was a time when my doctor said that I might have to stop playing sports because they didn't think my body could handle the stress. Yes, I still remember saying to this day, Mom, just not listening to them. Not playing sports just isn't an option for me. And if you know me, you know how stubborn I am. So this conversation went exactly the way you think it went. Luckily, my parents supported me. Sports became my escape, my happy place. No one was testing my blood, asking me if I was okay, or telling me to eat or not eat something. I felt like every other kid. I felt included. I felt normal. I was scared of the future and what it holds. As I got older, my parents were diligent in working with doctors and constantly pushing to see what we could do and could not do, defying many of the odds and allowing me to be active. I was also given more responsibility to monitor my food intake, but I still felt angry. Angry, I had to live with this disease. Angry, I had to monitor what I ate. Angry, I had to go to the hospital every time I wasn't feeling well. Angry that I was the person to have this disease in my body. Angry of the unknowns. Angry I was not a normal little girl. As time went on, I was only playing 3 sports, and with each year passed, I would think, maybe this is the year. It definitely is. Maybe this is the year my disease would magically go away. Maybe my parents wouldn't ask me every hour if I had my medicine. Maybe the doctors would see that I was thriving. And maybe I would be able to live a life without thinking so much. Maybe I will be able to live the life the way I've always wanted to. Maybe. In 7th and 8th grade, my feelings started to change. My close friend's mom became my field hockey coach. Her name was Mrs. BP. She was filled with craziness, but also had the best personality ever. Even when I was in 1st grade playing for her basketball team, she was always there for me on and off the court. I vividly remember a conversation with my mom one day saying, "Hey, Belle, I signed you up for field hockey, and guess who the coach is?" I shouted, "Mrs. BP. You're right," she said. That was the best day ever. All I could think of was how she was going to be the best coach for all 4 years. She was not just your average coach. She was different. She didn't care what people thought of her. She expressed who she was and was proud of it. Something I've always wanted to do. She made life fun and made me forget about what I was going through. Someone who was always there to coach and guide me. Someone who would call me out when I was doing something wrong or praise me when I exceeded expectations. Someone who didn't treat me differently. Someone who made me feel normal when no one else did. Someone who wasn't yelling at me to take my medicine or constantly watching over me. Someone who didn't judge me and made me feel embarrassed. Someone who made that anger go away. At the end of my 8th grade year, she was diagnosed with brain cancer, and it was progressing quickly. She was in and out of the hospital most of the time, but still had time to text me and check up on me. Even though she was going through one of the hardest times in her life, she still made time to check up on the people that meant the most to her. I did my best to support her and her family. We made dinners, offered rides. The entire time she was sick, I forgot about my anger. I forgot about the doctors, the pain, and the aggravation. I forgot that I wasn't normal. I focused on helping out my friend who was going to lose her mother. I focused on the fact that I was going to lose someone who meant a lot to me. I continued to play for her every single day. On and off the field, she was my reason for being there. On September 16th, 2019, after my field hockey game, I was informed that someone in our area had passed away from overhearing one of my friends. I didn't know who. I didn't want to know who, and I didn't think who it could be. Then I get in the car with a girl, and she says the worst possible news I could ever hear. I didn't know her so well, so I had to act normal. She goes, "Did you hear that woman who has been struggling with cancer passed away? I think her name was Mrs. BP." I will never forget that moment. That's when my life changed forever. I thought this was going to be the year that I would feel like a normal high school girl. I thought this was the year I wouldn't always have to live life in the now and have the future be unknown. I was wrong. I was filled with anger. The anger that she made me forget about came back. The anger that I didn't know was able to come back. When I heard this news, my mind began to go in many different directions. I was confused as to who I was. I didn't know why this had happened to me. Why did I have this disease in my body? Why did I have to let go of the person who made that anger go away? Why should I even play sports? Why me? Why? You're probably wondering what this has to do with the rest of us who don't have a rare disease. People are different in their own ways. So what if my parents asked me if I had my medicine? So what if I had to ask for something without cheese or not eat a birthday cake at a party? So what if I have to explain to my friends when they ask why I can't have something? So what if I was different from everyone else? My friend had to go through the rest of her life without her mom. In reality, I was my own barrier. I was the one who made myself not feel normal. Mrs. BP made me realize who I am. My experience of having Mrs. BP in my life taught me the biggest life lesson ever: live life now. For this talk, most of you probably didn't know I had this disease. Most of you didn't know that I lost someone close to me and the effect it had on who I am today. It is hard to see how lucky we are when we are facing adversity. Even in really bad times, there's always something on the other end. It wasn't until I was able to find the strength to help my friend get through a tough time and find the strength to realize that I can be my own cheerleader, that I was no longer my own barrier. I had to let go of the anger that came back and focus on the good. Even though I hated when my parents asked me to eat or have my medicine, they were just looking out for me. Still, to this day, I wonder if they just do it to annoy me, but in reality, it's not. Everyone has their struggles. You never know what someone's going through from an outsider's perspective, so be grateful for what you have, even if it may not be the perfect or normal life. All my life, I wanted to be a normal little girl. I've come to realization I don't have to be the normal little girl in order to live a normal life. Everyone has their moments in their life that impact them. And sometimes it's hard to see how lucky we are when we are really struggling. No matter what, keep pushing, never give up. You will be that normal little girl. Live your life in the now. Thank you.